Live above the Heineken River Deck here at Pier 17 in the Seaport in New York City. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Anthony Rose last night on the West Coast in a late game that kept me up past my bedtime. It was the Boston Celtics who locked up the Warriors and held them to 88 points. Yesterday said you did not believe the Celtics were going to win the Eastern Conference. You said you'd be shocked. Have you changed your opinion from yesterday?
I haven't changed my opinion, but that isn't based on them beating the Golden State Warriors. That would be based on them beating the Milwaukee Bucks or the Miami Heat in a 7-game series. The Celtics have a terrific starting five. The main thing that they fortified is a duality. One, up front, not having Jayson Tattum or Jalen Brown guarding players that are 30 and 40 pounds heavier than them. How do you fix that? You play Horford and you play Time Lord Robert Williams together. And so now it frees up Jayson Tatum to be a scorer and a committed defender, and Jaylen Brown to be a lockdown defender. And Marcus Smart, who's their best passer, can now be an open three-point shooter, a defender, and somebody that's going to get all of the hustle plays. And let me talk about a couple of those plays that took place in the game. And by the way, Greg Williams coming in off the bench, leading the league in third in the league in three-point percentage from the back and forth.
Yep.
And the play that happened with Steph Curry. Let me teach everybody something. A couple of years ago when Anthony Davis got injured, the year that the Lakers lost to the Suns, he got, I believe, injured on a play where somebody rolled into his leg. Like, as a player, you got to anticipate those happen and kind of, hopefully, the lucky players are able to navigate it and get out of the way or get rolled into a point where they don't get hurt. The reason why I bring that up is when there's a loose ball on the floor, Marcus Smart, Ron Artest, Bruce Bowen, Dennis Rodman, I could just keep going to the era. They're going to dive on that ball.
Yep.
And by the way, those are also players that when you are as physical as they are and committed defensively as they are, you got to be a little dirty. You just have to. Because it's called doing what? The dirty work. Ain't that what it's called? Doing the dirty work?
It's called doing dirty work.
So it's one thing for me to dive at the ball and David Jacoby standing there. It's another thing for me to dive at the ball and Steph Curry's standing there. I'm going head and shoulders like the shampoo after the ball. And Steph either got to meet me to the ball or get out of the way. So clearly I'm not going to blame a player for being injured. But I'm telling you, Steph is going to look back at that play and be like, I knew he was going to dive for that ball. You see what I'm saying? And so some people can say it was an out-of-bounds play. It was actually an in-bounds play. No, now the same, I believe, transition, he goes down and Clay's about to go for a layup. He pump fakes, and then Marcus Smart's leg kind of gets on Clay's arm on the way down. So now let me teach somebody else something.
What the?
I promise you, when Marcus Smart was in the air at that awkward angle, he really didn't want his foot to get caught between Clay's forearm. You know why?
He wants to
That means
land.
you're about to tumble on your shoulder and your head.
He wants to land.
That's what that means. He was trying to land safely. Trust me. David Jacoby, when I play basketball, what's the number one thing I do not want to do?
Jalen Rose hates falling. He hates falling. He wants to stay upright at all times.
Correct. And I'm telling you, he jumped to try to be aggressive and go after the block. But then when Clay faked him, he was like, oh, yo, leg was kind of awkward. I'm telling you, when his foot got caught, I'm telling you, all he saw was my head about to hit this floor. So at that point, he was just trying to save him. So look at him, put his head down, arm down, shoulder down. He looked at them like, y'all saved my life. Like, look at him. Now, he did look at him and extend his leg, though. But he extended his leg not to do a Bruce Lee move. He extended his leg, I'm trying to teach y'all, so he wouldn't fall on his head and bust his head. And so he deserved a technical, I believe, or a flagrant foul. He deserved that.
Jalen.
He deserved a flagrant. Because that's
Jalen Rose hates falling.
Foul.
Another thing that Jalen Rose hates happened in the game last night between
What?
Minnesota
What?
Timberwolves and the Lakers.
No.
We'll start by showing you some of the highlights from Minnesota because Karl Anthony Towns had 30 and Anthony Edwards, one of my favorite players in the league, had 27. But Jalen Rose, you hate falling, and what else do you hate to see when you're watching League Pass in the evening?
I can't stand when people shoot helium balls. So
He
you
hates
might say,
air balls.
Jalen, what does that mean? That means when you shoot the basketball and all it hits is the floor. So look, let me just distinguish this air ball. That's why Karl Anthony Towns looked the way I look when people shoot air balls. It's one thing to shoot an air ball, it's another thing for it to hit the ground. You following me? You following me, right? Like Karl looked like that because he was about to let it hit the ground. He was about to let it hit the. It's like a baseball player when they know they can snag it simple. You know what I mean? But I want to snag it with a little flair. I want to pop it, right? That's what Karl Anthony Towns is doing. And so he could have let it hit the floor, but then it was like, wait a minute, it might cause an earthquake. You know what I'm saying? I had to catch this thing. And so I was watching that game like all of them. We had countdown. And I just want to say something, like, for real. Watching it with Greedy and Wilbon and Stephen A is really funny because as we were watching this game, Wilbon, like, I don't want to talk about the Lakers at all. And it's kind of like I had to remind them. It's kind of like my Detroit Pistons, right? If we're really great, the national media is going to talk about us. If we're really bad, the national media is going to talk about us. Otherwise, they ain't going to really mention us unless somebody really bought. And so for the Lakers, we're going to talk about them regardless, but especially if they lost 11 in a row on the road. They've lost 11 straight road games? 11 straight road games?
I didn't think it was possible for them to fall out of play-in, but they could fall out of the play-in position. Like, it's wild. The Trailblazers aren't even trying to win games, and they could accidentally end up with a play-in game. They could accidentally end up with one. They're not even trying to get in there.
I can give you more. I got more. So, it ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. There he is right there. Patrick Beverley. Seasoned grizzled vet. Not a multi-time All-Star, not a future Hall of Famer, will never lead the league in any statistical category, including fouls and technicals. Will never lead the league in none of that. However, he gets paid to play basketball, and he gets an opportunity to compete on a nightly basis. And you see him backing off Russell Westbrook like he with us, and then Russ tried to pass it to LeBron, and he tells him he's trash, he stinks. He gets the right to do that. Like, what I want everybody to understand is, like, the only thing I need to do to be able to talk trash is to get in your head. That's all I need. I don't need the scoreboard. I don't need to have more points than you. I don't need to even be able to beat you in a fight. Not in today's game. All I got to do is get in your head. And put that play back up there when he backed off of Russ. You think the air ball is bad, and you think the psyche of a player is really bad? Imagine after you bring the ball up, you give up this offensive rebound. Now look at Russ standing. That's his man. Now, that's Russ's man, Patrick Beverley, hustling.
This is the one.
But it's offensive rebound. Now look how he back it off Russ.
Look how far
And
away
he
he is
throws
from
and he
Russ.
steals the ball.
He's 15 feet away from him. 15 feet away from him. Oh.
And so now, when I say it ain't no fun if the rabbit got the gun, this is what I mean by being in your head. They was waxing the Lakers old school style and talking trash to them. And LeBron, after the game, walked off like, yeah, I'm gonna remember this. Yeah, I'm gonna remember this. Let me tell y'all something. I've been really fortunate to play against some of the all-time greats that y'all love, that y'all celebrate, that y'all adore. But there's so many nights I went home and I had some red wine and I was better than them that night. And let me tell you something. The Minnesota Timberwolves did something that I truly appreciated with the Lakers last night. They not only beat them, but they humiliated them.
They did.
They was talking trash to them. They was flexing on them. And
Clowning
after
them.
the game, LeBron was like this. Here you go, Jacoby, watch this. This I want to put an exclamation point on it right here. After the game, LeBron saw his teammates giving dap. And he had to go give Anthony Edwards that. You never know what might happen in the future, personal or business. It's a business. So he gives Anthony Edwards that. But then he looks at everybody else like, I'm going to remember this. I'm going to remember this and leave. I got news for you, LeBron. They going to remember it too.
Jalen.
How about that?
We are always going to remember March as the season when we have the NCAA tournament. However, while there's so much attention on the men's tournament, we're going to tell you who you need to focus on in the women's tournament that could single-handedly carry her team to the championship. And of course, we're talking about Caitlin Clark. We'll celebrate her right after this. You are watching Jalen